In the 7th edition of the Dasra Philanthropy Forum, we are here at New York City for the 4th time. This year, Dasra is partnering with 6 co-hosts: Dasra, the Target Group, AVPN, the British Asian Trust, the Britspan Group, and the Climate Group. Yes, let's hear it for them. This convening would not have been possible without their collaboration and their support. At this point, I also want to acknowledge all the NGO partners that Dasra works with and all our co-hosts works with, the civil society movement of India that has enabled us our journey here, and we are so grateful that we are here in this room to celebrate that journey that India and countries in South Asia have made with their support and collaboration. We are also grateful to our session partners, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Center for Global Energy and Policy at the University of Columbia, the Climate Works Foundation, the Clinton Global Initiatives, Data.org, Empowerment Foundation, the India Climate Collaborative, Kiawa Trust, ORF, Satwa, Skoll, the Tarsadia Foundation, and Virgin Unite. I hope this space provides everyone opportunities for learning, terrific exchanges of journeys, and a diverse network of leaders, partners, and representatives that have been carefully curated to initiate a dialogue of action. With this, I would like to call upon Deval to start us off for the evening.
Thank you, Akshay. Can everyone hear me in the back? Great. Okay. I'm going to see if I can. Great. This is better. So first of all, thank you all for coming today. I kind of feel like an airline where at the end of the flight they say, I know you have a choice of who to fly, and thank you for flying with us. I think this week is absolutely crazy. And so I definitely know you have many things you can be doing right now and many conferences you can attend. And so we really, really appreciate you coming and choosing some of the time of your day to be with us. It really means a lot. I think a few things I just wanted to sort of, oh wow, I didn't know my photo was there, sorry. A few things I wanted to talk about was why sort of this gathering means so much to us. And as Akshay said, this is the 7th one we've done in the US. We've run similar gatherings in Mumbai since 2009. It just so happened at the exact same time that Warren Buffett and Gates sort of announced the Giving Pledge, we had our first philanthropic gathering in India, which was a day long, and now for the last 7 years, it's turned into a week long there. And we have literally hundreds, if not 1,000 sort of stakeholders coming together from different areas, really participating in these forums to have conversation, to learn, to share, and really to start thinking about India, not only on what we can do individually, but more importantly, what we can do as a collective. And so some of the partners that Akshay mentioned today that have partnered with us for this gathering, just to give you a sense, Bridgespan, British Asian Trust, AVPN, India Climate Collective, ICC, all of these organizations, we've been so privileged at Dasra to be working with them many times well before they even started in India. And so with AVPN, we knew their parent sort of organization or their initial group, EVPN, one of the founders there, Dr. Rob John, actually wrote a report on venture philanthropy in 2000, highlighting some of the work we did in supporting groups like Akshay Patra, Magic Bus, and others back in those days. With ICC, we were very lucky to share office space with them about 6 years ago when they were sort of launching. With Bridgespan, when Rohit first came to India, a phenomenal individual, they actually helped us with our adolescent strategy, which has also been fantastic. And then Abba, who's here from BAT, and we were meeting yesterday at a gathering that Neelam Chibber and the industry team put together, and she was talking to one of her colleagues on how when they started out, the initial 3 investments they made in India happened to be organizations that Dasra had worked with. And I still remember Abba and I going to a Gujarati Thali restaurant with Safina when their budget size of Educate Girls was about 60 to 70 lakhs a year. And so it's not just this event that is real, what talks about collaboration to Dasra. It's how we formed and how we started. And for those of you who don't know or who were not here last year, the sort of conception of Dasra formulated sort of 2 or 3 blocks down when Neera my wife and I were working together at Morgan Stanley. So on 48th and Broadway is the offices, 1585 Broadway. We'd be working at sort of 4 in the morning doing pitch books and realizing that when it came to business investing, investors would sort of understand sectors, vet management teams, and then make long-term funding commitments, 7 to 10 years waiting for payoff. And in that, not just write the check, but also provide managerial support as well as access to networks. In the investing world, we learned at least you back leaders to the till because that's the only way your investment can be successful. And we were shocked and surprised to see in the NGO world, it's the exact opposite. Most funders come in for 1 year sort of granting periods. Most of them actually ask NGOs to have line item to line item budgets. And if you change any of those budgets throughout the year, even by 10%, you have to get permission from headquarters of these foundations. And most donors don't actually look at bringing their networks to the table or their managerial support to the table as well. In fact, in the NGO world, many donors say, oh, if the NGO doesn't have A, B, or C, we're going to drop them. But in the business world, we think we will actually support these leaders to build management teams around themselves and actually scale and grow and create greater impact. And so we brought some of those principles to sort of create Dasra. Neera, of course, went on to Harvard Business School, and that's why we're here today, as well as somebody here, Perry, if you could just stand up, Hewitt, from data.org. Perry's been instrumental in getting us this space. Thank you, Perry. But really today, it's about the communities in India. For many of you who've been in multiple sessions this week, you may have seen that most of the conversation that exists is actually not about India. As a country, we have not done a great job at talking about the phenomenal NGO leaders we have, the amazing solutions that have been created and developed, and scale that occurs in India with 1.4 billion people is very different than honestly scale that happens in the minority countries, such as the US, the UK, and others. And so to begin with, I just want the NGO leaders, if you all can please stand, that would be great, because I think we need to recognize you all. Mohan in the back, Neelam. These are the individuals and their organizations who've really been working day in and day out to not only solve their visions in healthcare, livelihoods, education, shelter for children, homes like Miracle Foundation, informal workers that Jan Sahas has done phenomenally well over the last few years and decades, in fact. But more importantly, I think what we've seen, at least as Dasra, is that our vision of a transformed India where 1 billion thrive with dignity and equity could only happen on the shoulders of all of these leaders. And I think if you're a new philanthropist coming into this space, it's really important to realize how lucky you are if India is a destination of your philanthropy to be able to support these leaders who've done the heavy lifting, who are from the communities they serve, who've built very large teams to really ensure change happens on the ground. You can't honestly do that from New York or San Francisco. You can't even do that sitting in Mumbai. You need to work with local leaders, local organizations, and communities that trust you, and more importantly, that are telling you what is needed, not the other way around. And so while it's been 24 years that Dasra has been in existence, unfortunately, we have not done a good job in helping funders realize they are not the experts. You're not. It's these NGO leaders. And with that, I'm just going to ask a few NGO leaders of what success would look like for today's session. I know you all also have multiple initiatives that you've been attending this week. And so it'd be great to hear from you what would be successful at the end of the day from attending the Dasra Philanthropy Forum. Neelam, you're closest to me, so I'm going to call on you first. Mohan, I'm going to come to you next. And then Ashif in the back, I'm going to come to you. So we'll start with Neelam.
No, I think the convening power that Dasra has nationally, globally is just amazing, and we all stand here as beneficiaries of that. But I think what's really big is that India now has actually a lot of money to give within India. But Indians always emulate others. It's a national story. And therefore, the giving that comes from here, and if there's more cross-sharing between Indian philanthropists and global philanthropists, I think that is what should be an outcome of the day-to-day. Yeah.
Thank you, Neelam. Let's give Neelam a hand. I'm coming to you, Mohan, so please think. We've been very lucky to work. Sorry, Neelam runs a phenomenal organization called Industry. They have a US 501c3 called Creative Millions that they've set up here in making it easier for donors in the US to fund them. Mohan runs a fantastic organization called KHPT that focuses on health across Karnataka and a few other states. Adolescence has been a big area that they focused on. And before we start, Mohan, about what successes look like, if you could just tell everyone what you're doing tomorrow, that would just be fantastic.
Thank you, Deval. Yeah, I'm Mohan from KHPT. We are based out of Bangalore, and I am here to attend UN meeting, General Assembly tomorrow. And we all together pledges for the communities as a center in implementing the tuberculosis program, entire globe. I think we are one of the major partner with now going to be with the government of India for implement TB program that is more in the decentralized and the community and the family level. That is, we call it as in a TB-free panchayats. All we talked about TB-free India, TB-free district, TB-free blocks, but nobody thought of TB-free family and the village and the panchayat. I think that was something initiated last couple of years, which I am representing the country from the civil society side for tomorrow's UN meeting, General Assembly. Thank you. With regard to my expectation, because I fortunate to be part of today's meeting because of tomorrow, otherwise would have been not traveled here. But more than that, actually last couple of years, which we started our journey along with Dasra, I think I no need to mention that how the Dasra brings the different perspective. One thing what I expect, we always talk about efficiency, and we forget the equity component. But how to balance the efficiency and the equity is something which possible only when the global people participate in this kind of organizations, capacity building or funding, whatever kind of technical support. I think which Dasra is ensuring that, but I see more and more that kind of participation from the global angle, because he was mentioning his initial remark about the whole business and the NGO, how the different perspective works. I think trying to build a lot of those principles in this sector is something which I am really quite impressed. I am looking forward to that. Another one which I also expect, it is not that, I may be representing as one organization there, but we also work with several organizations which is very, very small in nature. We have a responsibility of building that organization. To give a good example, that recently that Empowerment Foundation, which Dasra connected to us, and our discussion was not that receiving a funding for KHPT, it is also receiving a funding for another organization, which KHPT will take the responsibility of building that organization so that we have a system at the lowest and the local level. I think Dasra has a same philosophy. I expect the philanthropists to go with that kind of a route so that the buddy system will continue to be happening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, the last audacious prize winner, phenomenal work. And we talk about equity, and I don't think there's a leader that comes to mind more than this gentleman right here when it comes to think about equity. So, what would you expect from this gathering?
So, first of all, thank you. uh, 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 like I started my organization when I was 17, and basically I started from a village, and currently we are operating across 100 districts in 13 states, and now we are scaling our program in South Asia and Southeast Asia. And basically the role of organization like Dasra and some philanthropic partners like TED, Co-Impact, and many others here, I think that's a very, very important role, because the people from the community like me, and the people from the like most excluded communities, such as most of the people in my organization, they struggle a lot in their day-to-day life. They struggle a lot to like fight against the injustice, discrimination, exclusion. But basically they need some financial support to grow their movement or grow their work. And I think the role of philanthropic community is very important from that perspective. So I think the money is not for particularly for the scale or try and test, but I think this is the whole issue of the life of the people, millions of people, particularly in India, like the people from the Dalit community, people from the Adivasi community, people from the NTDNT community. They are facing lots of challenges on a day-to-day basis in their life. And I think this kind of like the gathering help to connect these kind of like the organization with the philanthropic community or the people who want to support these kind of like the causes in India. So personally, I'm first time I'm attending this gathering, and I'm very, very thankful to you for this like the opportunity. And I think today morning we had a conversation about the collaborative. So I think it's a very difficult to like engage with multiple organizations who are already involved in this kind of like the work. And here you can get lots of different kind of like the perspective. So it's also very helpful to learn from the other people. Thanks.
Great, thank you. So that's what success is going to look like for everyone, or for these three individuals. Please, you jot down what success looks like for you, and keep that in mind as you participate in these conversations. And with that, I'm going to call Tarun Jotwani as our next speaker to talk a little bit more about Dasra. Yes, here, I'll just give you the mic.
It's a long road up there. Navigating my way through this room. Up there. Well, that was one hell of a start by Deval. So this is he talked about Dasra, and he kicked it off really, really well. So this is a little bit more formal, and I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk a little bit about Dasra. Many of you know Dasra quite well, and some of you are new to it. But I want to start with. I've had a long association with Dasra for 15 years, and they've been always an incredibly innovative organization. And I've always admired the way they have driven a new thinking in philanthropy in India. And they've not been afraid to experiment to effect real and sustained change. And with all of that, what Deval talked about, he and Neera got together at Morgan Stanley. The big thing is they've never lived in India, but they've lived in India now 25 years. So after Morgan Stanley, they moved to Bombay and started work from the grounds up. And Dasra has come a long way since then. And their focus has always been the same. The direction of where they've gone with that focus has been different, but their focus has been to change the undertrodden and give them a real chance to break free from the cultural shackles. And in India, a lot of the cultural shackles have to be lifted from the traditions and the lack of access that has kept them in an unending cycle of poverty and lack of opportunity. And it's the opportunity that I think Dasra really works on unlocking, and they'll rush through the door as the opportunity is open. Some of the most well-known NGOs in India, Magic Bus and Educate Girls, were initially incubated by Dasra in very early days. And those NGOs have gone on to being very big, bigger than Dasra, and obviously very impactful, who do their own fundraising and are enormous in impact in India. Dasra, through these years, through my 15 years, has built programs that have required them to be an educator and a consultant, driver of capital formation, investment of that capital, and an implementer of programs. So it's been a lot of, it was initially very difficult to understand what is Dasra really up to, and really it is a combination of all these things that they do that I think made them unique, and now a lot more organizations are doing very similar approach, which includes collaborators. And of course, all of that has been for the single purpose of building ecosystems so that Dasra's mission, which has been consistent, so that a billion can thrive with dignity and equity. So the culmination of all this work, and Dasra has been around 25 years, has been the Dasra of today. A scaled organization on the ground in India with the enormous connectivity that is so necessary for programs to succeed. So don't underestimate the power of the connectivity that Dasra has built in India and frankly, globally for this particular cause. They have the convening power such that successful programs can be implemented nationally, and a deep knowledge and understanding of which implementation works and what doesn't work, which is, of course, as you all know, equally important. And they are a trusted partner and advisor to foundations, philanthropists, and social organizations, all of who can expect full transparency. They will talk a little bit about where does the money go. You know, we had a session this morning about collaboratives, and with Dasra, you expect full transparency and a full accountability. Dasra has to be accountable for how the programs get delivered. So Dasra had an early insight into and was an early mover in building collaboratives, which basically means multilateral decision-making over unilateralism, the power of collective action, the power of building trust between social organizations on the ground so they can come together, knit their expertise together for change in the communities that they serve. And Dasra does this particularly well. You know, they've honed the practice really, really well. And today they are a very seasoned player and an incredibly robust player in the Indian context. Dasra also fully understands the engagement with governments and bureaucracy in India. After all, they are the ones with enormous resources and influence. And rather than being a hindrance, they're essential. Engaging with them, with the governments, with the state governments, and the central government we think, is essential to succeed and scale. Dasra currently anchors 12 collaborations. The latest one, Climate Rise Alliance, was launched early this year and has already engaged over 50 civil society organizations working at the intersection of climate and resiliency. Happily, the powerful duo that we just talked about, Deval and Neera, the founders, are no longer the only drivers. So Dasra today, given the scale of the organization, is really driven forward with a fantastic leadership team that goes beyond those two. The leadership team is innovative, continues to be innovative, continues to be effective, and the second and third layers of leaders have been there for a long time and have grown. Many of them have grown over the years with the firm. Today we have two of those leaders here, Shailja, who spoke earlier, and Vishal, who's sitting right here. And we all know that the deep leadership team is essential for continued growth. Today is our annual New York-based Dasra Philanthropy Forum, and today we convene to foster regional and global connections across the philanthropy community. Today, we want to go beyond India and celebrate the strength and self-resilience of the communities in the global south and bring forth the potential of collaborators for change that are inclusive, lasting, and impactful. And we want to talk about collaborators because they're not easy to establish, but they're highly, highly effective. We hope to understand the complexity of challenges in front of us, the urgent call to climate action, and the huge relevance of data to enable thriving collaboratives. So thank you for coming, and we are glad you've joined us.